Hello, T Crew, and welcome to this mini sip about open marriage. Is it the new wave, or is Hollywood again leading us astray? You're not going to want to miss this mini sip. Stay tuned. During these times, you may have stumbled on some free time, and it can honestly be mind-numbing sitting in the house day after day. Well, you can create your own podcast. It's amazing. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's completely free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. That's right, no purchase necessary, no equipment necessary. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast without a minimum listenership. That's right, you don't have to have any minimums for the people that listen to your podcast and still make money, honey. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the Anchor app for free. Go to anchor.fm to get started. All right, T Crew, let's get into it. So I know I said I wasn't going to do any more content until 2022, but I just had to speak on this. I have some free time, and you guys know I can't stay away from you. So let's get into it. So is open marriage the new wave? So I've been thinking about this topic as a subtopic for a while since we got the onslaught of information from Will and Jada about their open marriage. And I think that when I read about that, when I saw how nasty it kind of got, how dicey and messy it got, it really made me think twice about the pros and cons of open marriage. So just to kind of backtrack a little bit, Will and Jada were married in the 90s, and they basically just decided after having two children, and they also share a stepchild together from Will's previous relationship, his previous marriage, that they were not going to be giving up on each other, and that regardless of whatever happened, they were going to stay married and they were going to work through it, which kind of evolved into them having different entanglements, as they call them, throughout the marriage. And these entanglements allowed them to stay married, but not monogamous to one another. So the way Jada described it was, I love you enough to keep fighting with you through life, whether you have to go into another part of the house and be with somebody else, and I'm in the other part of the house with somebody else, but at the end of the day, like, we're still going to be under the same roof. So that's what you said on Red Table Talk. So what that means to me basically is that they're not willing to let go of their marriage. At the same time, they're not holding each other to the standard of monogamy. So fine. I think it works out for a lot of people, but then when you also use them as a case study, you'll find that August Alsina is not a rare case. It's only human nature to feel jealousy, and it's, finding somebody else to be basically involved in your marriage. Because if you're stepping out on your partner and you're with another person, right, this person is now in some shape or form involved in your marriage. So now you have husband, wife, wife's entanglement, husband's entanglement, multiple entanglements over the years, and somebody's bound to feel some type of way. And this is where it got messy with August Alsina. Now, Will Smith came to the table to talk about the same issue, and he said, we were basically in a separation to the point of divorce. We did not think that we would be getting back together. So his whole thing was, this got messy because Jada began to take him out to premieres, be in public with August Alsina. And so that asked another question. When you're in an open marriage, what are the parameters? Is it just sneaky links? Or is it, dinner dates? And I'm actually going to put time and energy into this other relationship, because I feel like marriage in itself just requires so much time and energy that if you're really saying it's more than just a physical thing, it's going to be like a relationship, and it's going to be dinners and vacations and pouring into each other and being there for the other person as well as your spouse. It really becomes a lot. And if you're going to be doing it like that, the other person is bound to get jealous because you can only be so many places at once. And to add insult to injury, a lot of people that are doing it are celebrities who already don't have that much time for their families. So I can't imagine having to split your family up between the time that you have and the time that you're now going to have to spend with this other person who is not your spouse. So I feel like that's another key point. I think jealousy is kind of usually meant to refer to physical jealousy, like people being jealous of other people, physically being with their partner. But it also has an emotional component too, because when somebody's spending time with your partner, or you really want to go on a date night or just sit around and watch movies with your partner, hang out, have fun with them, and they're busy doing something else with their entanglement or their sneaky link, you're like, hold on. If anything, like, they should be the one lacking for time, not me. So you have all that goes into it as well. What are the parameters to this extramarital relationship? So another famous couple that has been infamous for their open marriage and alternate non-traditional marriage is the comedian Mo'Nique and her husband Sydney. Now, a long time ago, Mo'Nique put it out there that she didn't mind if Sydney stepped out on her and basically had hall passes, and he would be able to go ahead and do something physical with somebody outside of the marriage and then come back to her. And that was something that she was okay with. I guess being a touring woman, being a busy woman, he's also her manager. So whenever she's working, whenever she's doing movies, whenever she was hosting and just busy all the time, she would, in her mind, she allowed him to go out and do certain things because she really felt like she wasn't going to be able to be the wife that he needed and have that kind of time for him. Now that I guess I can understand a little bit more, but then at the same time, it's just like, nobody can find that perfect person that's never going to feel some type of way. Whoever the extra person is that you invite into your marriage, at some point, they're definitely going to want their share. I mean, who wants to stand off to the sidelines for years and years and years and never really get anything out of it unless he's switching it up or whatever the case? So then that becomes, well, who's the person this year or who's the person this month? And I just think it just really adds a messiness component to the relationship that can be really difficult to manage. And then more recently, Ayesha and Steph Curry were allegedly rumored to be having some type of open arrangement where they can have side links and all types of stuff too in their marriage. And I think that shattered a lot of people because they're always trying to call people goals. I know we said it multiple times on this channel that social media is fake and you do not know these people for real. And so to call people goals, I know it just happened with Megan and Devon, and other relationships that we saw we thought were picture perfect ended up being not so perfect, because no relationship is perfect. Like, that's just the nature of the situation. So when you go in thinking that they're going to be a certain way and they're not, then you just feel like, okay, at the end of the day, there's no one out here for me to look up to and be like, goals, goals, goals. Because every relationship goes through issues. And that's why I think it's kind of interesting to look at these different alternate routes to marriage, family, because at the end of the day, like, whatever works for you works for you. So there's no right way to be married. There's no wrong way to be married. So whatever these couples have decided to do in their relationship works for them. And, it just kind of promotes longevity in their relationships. But do I think it's the wave for regular folks, i.e. non-celebrities? I would say no. I don't think it's even the wave for celebrities because, like I said, I really think that it can be running sweet for a while and things can be fine for a while, but just the nature of wanting something for yourself, that's human nature. And I think that's why monogamy was pushed in our society. And I think that's why it kind of works to kind of be one of the easier, more streamlined solutions, because the more people that you get involved in your relationship, the harder it's going to be to sever that tie when your main person is like, okay, you know what? I think over the years you've grown way too close to your sneaky link. Out of respect to me, you need to cut that off. So now you have a decision to make. And that other person has a decision to make too. Especially if you're famous, especially if you have a lot to lose, they could just blow up your life with the things that they know because they're mad about being cut off from the situation that they had with you that your spouse was originally okay with and now they're not. So all of that really comes into play when you're thinking about like, would it work for me or would it work for my relationship, or if you're trying to piece together like how it's working for them. And then again, you have to realize the reality of the situation is a lot of couples don't have a choice when they're in situations where they're constantly being propositioned and they're feeling like my partner's only human. I don't want to lose my marriage. So at the end of the day, I'd rather have an open marriage and try to be okay with the situation than to feel like emotionally that I'm consistently getting cheated on. So I think that's another element to it too. A lot of people, this wasn't their first choice, but they're just like, well, at the end of the day, if I have an open marriage, if somebody ever sees my husband out with somebody, or if they ever see him having dinner, or they hear this or they hear that, I can always say, we have an open marriage and it's something I'm aware of. So I don't feel like I'm constantly getting pushed out there as somebody who's just staying with a cheater and constantly being cheated on. That's another, kind of lane that has been carved out that a lot of people really don't talk about when they talk about open marriage. They're just like, oh, it's a choice between the two of them. It's like, yeah, it's a choice between the two of them, but it sometimes is a forced choice when you don't want to keep looking crazy out here in the streets. You know what I'm saying? If you know what I mean. But this is a mini sip, so I don't want to go too long. So thank you for listening to this mini sip. If you've enjoyed this, head over to our Instagram and follow us with Tea Talk with Sha. And we also have a YouTube page now, same name, Tea Talk with Sha. Go ahead and subscribe and like. We got some content up there already, so go ahead over there and do that. As always, arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. We won't stop until she gets the justice that she rightly deserves. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are, and I love you for listening. Bye!